Okay, so guys, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. And it seems that the caption, the captioner is not working anyway. It should be working though, but it's not. Why? I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. It should be working. Anyway, so guys, welcome back to this channel. Yeah, as you can see, I'm playing Fishing Planet. Fishing Planet is a what I would call a very relaxing game. Okay, so there you go. There is someone already fishing here. Okay, so since someone is already fishing over there, let's find another spot. Let's go fish over here. Okay, it says they're straight and slow. Yeah. So I'm reeling in the line straight and slow. Let's see if I'm going to catch anything. Okay, let's try fishing with this one. Okay, there you go. Now I just have to wait, okay? And while we're waiting, let's go and watch, you know, a video. Because, yeah, this is gonna be a lot more exciting if you're doing something else. Okay, so here we have an Asmongold video titled "Steam just said F you." Let's go listen to what he has to say.
And it's especially been in the last 10 years, is that you've had a tremendous amount of institutional calls for censorship, and I find these to just be so problematic and so bad. And like, you're getting this with movies, you get it with TV shows, you get it with music, and you especially get it with video games. And at the end of the day, these people, their main goal is to make sure that you can't have a fucking opinion. And the worst thing that they can have happen to them is for other people to get together and find out, wait a minute, actually, a lot of people do think like I do. Because these people rely on the...
So, right now I'm just waiting for the, I guess you can call it the floater.
And that's why they're going...
To, you know, start moving, because if that starts moving, it means it caught something, or I got a bite.
King of PC gaming. But in February 2026, a massive report from The Guardian revealed a growing rebellion. A group of developers are speaking out.
Shit publication from the UK, by the way. Trash.
In their target...
Okay, so The Guardian is a trash publication according to Asmongold.
See, they don't understand this because they're in fucking Britain or something like that, but we have freedom of speech here. They want to bring and colonize us. We fought a fucking war over this in 1776. No, we don't want you to come and colonize our fucking websites so you can push your narrative. Get the fuck out of here.
Titled this...
That is the...
Developers speak out about bigotry on Steam, paints a picture of a platform.
That is the truth about the UK. They don't have freedom of speech.
Because it doesn't...
They say they do, but it's not in their constitution. So technically, they don't have one.
They can't think.
To step in. They want reviews deleted. They want the culture wars scrubbed from their store pages.
No, they don't want the culture war scrubbed. They want to win the culture war. That's a very big important difference. Because these people are not against a culture war. They're against an opposition to their culture war. This entire idea that, it's culture war. No. You start it, and then you don't want anybody else to respond. That's the problem.
Valve isn't budging. In fact, their response to these demands has been...
Whoa, there is somebody next to me.
Platform neutrality we've seen in years. Today we're looking at why some developers think Steam is broken and why Valve believes that...
Okay, there's another
ultimate act
person fishing next to me.
The argument from the developers is that Steam has become a quote-unquote battleground. Take design...
Yeah, it's a battleground for the culture war. Yeah, and you have a problem with that because you just want to win categorically. You want to win by default, and because people are pushing back on you, now you think it's a problem.
Lawhead, for example. Lawhead spent 2 years trying to get specific reviews removed from their game pages. One review of the game, Blue Suburbia, was objectively personal, referencing Lawhead's private life and physical appearance. Lawhead told...
I'm going to recast this.
Steam abuse might have its own issues, but I did have hope that this would be the way to get it resolved. Then there's the case of COVID.
Oh, look at that.
Total bullshit, by the way.
I caught some weed.
If you want to review something because you think the developer's fat, fair. If you want to review something because you think that the, whatever it is, like the fucking, the graphics are bad, fair. Everything should be fair.
horror game.
That's what I
The
do.
developer Ethan claims he was targeted by a curator called Charlie Tweets Detected. This curator doesn't review games based on graphics or gameplay, they review them based on what the developer said about Charlie Kirk. Ethan
So what's the problem with that?
reported this to Steam support, arguing it was off topic. But look at how
That's not even true. I bet this is the question that you should
The question is,
ask who tries to push this.
why
Be able to downvote a game for a game
is that
it's made
that developer
that thinks that black people should go back into slavery.
hated Charlie Kirk?
Calls them the N-word.
That is the question.
And they will trip over each other.
Why do they hate him?
Why it's different. But at the end of the day, they actually don't have a problem with this at all. They have a problem when it happens to them. That's what the issue is.
Exactly. They have a problem when it happens to them.
find off
They don't have a problem if they're the ones doing it. But once it happens to them, now they have a problem.
let it stand. To these developers, this feels like
So
an
base.
ultimate act of betrayal. Amy of Studio Plain Toast stated Valve's refusal to moderate any of this is making Steam reviews and forums the battleground for some kind of culture war. It's making them unsafe for marginalized people. But this
The unsafe for marginalized people. If you read a review, you might kill yourself. You might actually even die. So this is the anti-woke. See, the reason why they have a problem with this is because they're losing. They're totally losing their market share. They've already lost the chokehold that they had on online discourse. They no longer can put out a message and nobody can respond to it. Now you have people like me that farm the fuck out of them for hate, and I'm gonna keep doing it too. I'm gonna keep doing it. And now, every single time that I hear somebody try to censor, I do it twice as much. I go twice as hard. I push twice as much. I review these games, I shit on them, and that's what you get. You shouldn't have done it. And the thing is, and the reason why, if anyone's retarded, yeah, exactly. Aren't we all marginalized people? No, they want to marginalize you and then claim to be the victim whenever you try to push back. That's the reason why. They want to criticize without criticism. I'll keep doing it. I love it.
but this
Okay, so I'm not getting a bite.
games either. We're seeing this
Take a bite, it's alright. But they're not,
Look at Highguard when the
they're
game
not biting. The fish are not biting.
rating almost instantly
By the way, the bait I'm using
didn't just take the
is red worms. That is the bait that I'm using, red worms. I'm not sure if that is a good bait,
turned into a joke from
but it's free. You can get
It was actually
a few of them
second one.
somewhere around here.
True. This guy got so much pushback on Twitter for writing out his stupid little article that he deleted his entire account. You know what I call that? Natural selection. That's what's gonna happen. Shouldn't have done it.
They always blame gamers for their game or games failing
Things that I said.
when it's really,
Things that I
really
said.
easy
And then he's acting
to
like
not get criticized.
too bad. Bitch.
Just make better games.
argue that dishonest critiques of their characters and anti-woke sentiment killed the game before it had a chance. But if
See, they always have a problem with anti-woke sentiment, but they don't have a problem with woke sentiment. You know why? It's because
Exactly. Exactly.
problem pushing their narrative
Asmongold is
to have the same thing.
spitting fire here.
the players are saying something different, they're saying the game was boring, the art style was unattractive,
Yep.
and they didn't want another live service clone. By
True.
asking Steam to moderate these reviews, the developers are essentially asking Steam to hide the fact that the market has rejected their product.
That's exactly it. They want to censor the player so they can sell their product to people that are uninformed. They fundamentally, like, what they're advocating for is fundamentally aggression and scamming an audience. That's what they want.
Exactly.
Mike
Again,
was head of no
all I can do is agree with what Asmongold is saying here.
complaint about a review that said
Also, why am I not getting a bite?
that racism is against guidelines and should be a no-brainer for removal, but
Nope. Too bad. Too bad. If someone doesn't like that,
Okay, I caught a bluegill. I'm keeping it.
it's because they can only exist in a world that's censored. They can't exist in a free marketplace of ideas. The only place in which these people can proliferate and succeed is whenever they are allowed to succeed through institutional means. They don't deserve to succeed in the natural market. That's why they have to fight so hard to make it unnatural.
Valve's response was silent. They didn't delete it because the moment
Islam not a
Valve
race?
starts
Of course it's not a race. There's plenty of white Muslims. It's overwhelmingly, maybe, I don't know if it's overwhelming, but like a lot of people that are Islamic or not Muslim, but like, yeah, they're white Muslims for sure.
Verifying what is a valid
bullshit.
opinion on a group of people, they
Yes.
become an editorial board, not
Exactly.
a storefront. So what we're seeing here in 2026 is an accountability crisis. In the past, if a game failed, the developers went back to the drawing board to figure out where it went wrong. Today, they just go ahead and complain to Steam. By grouping legitimate criticism with bigotry, developers are attempting to create a world where any dissent or negative review
If your game failed, it means it's not a good game.
I'm very opinionated about this if it's not obvious.
So what do?
They say that
You make better games.
is somehow bigotry or problematic. So really, what what they do is they start with the premise that bigotry should be banned. And then they reframe criticism into bigotry so they can justify banning it. It's a 1-2 step. It's a second order effect. So some people don't get the connection, but that's where things are going.
actually asking Valve to ignore the
That's
data,
it.
which is very similar to the relooted strategy when CEO Ben Myers blames YouTubers and bad faith.
Oh, wait, he made a tweet about this? I didn't even see this. This is the Steam forum for Relooted. It's all grave dancing, rightoid, culture war incels. Do you think Valve is ever going to crack down on this shit? If they ever do, I'm going to make it worse for you. I'm going to do it even more. That's fine. I'll keep it up. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. Sorry about that. So we got a hose mad situation, huh? They crashing out over my YouTube video? They should be saying thank you. It got more people seeing the fucking game than anybody else.
And bad faith actors, he is asking for a version of Steam where only approved opinions are allowed to affect
exactly
the game's
it.
visibility.
Yep.
So if Valve would hypothetically fall to this pressure,
And they would do this to YouTube too. That's what they do, is they try to knock down one domino and use the fact that that domino fell to justify the other ones. So they pressure Steam a bunch, maybe Steam does it, and then they go to YouTube and they say, well, Steam did it, you should do it too. That's how it works.
Steam review score would become as useless as a paid-for critic score on a corporate site. But
Yep.
here's where things get interesting. As most tech giants usually cave under this kind of pressure, Valve operates very differently. With only 300 employees managing 42 million concurrent users, Valve relies on a philosophy of radical neutrality. When Lawhead pushed Steam to remove those reviews, Steam support wrote, "We aren't in a position to verify the accuracy of statements made in user reviews, and we don't try to moderate reviews based on accuracy."
That's right.
Valve went even further, explicitly stating that removing these reviews could be seen as censorship.
It would be censorship, and that's what they want. They want censorship.
This is a massive statement. Valve is essentially saying that once they start deciding which mean reviews are accurate and
Yeah.
which ones are harassment, they become the arbiters of truth.
Exactly.
And Valve has no interest in being
And then
your
as soon as they delete some reviews, then there's the question of why aren't you deleting the other reviews? What about this other review? Well, there's this review over here. Well, you deleted that one. Why won't you delete this one? This is Pandora's box.
moral compass. Another developer received a similar response after reporting transphobic comments. It's much better to continue working on the product while letting the community use the helpfulness feature to surface reviews that they agree with or find to be uninformed. And this is the Steam way. If a review is bad or bigoted or stupid, Valve expects the users to vote it down into irrelevance. They believe in the helpful button.
Except it's the top review.
More than the delete button. The developers in the Guardian report argue that because Steam is a near monopoly, it has a monumental responsibility to protect them. They say a single
single negative rating can mean a difference in success and failure. Bullshit.
Steam is not a monopoly because there are other storefronts. Steam is thriving because Steam is offering what their customer wants. And that is the reason why Steam is thriving. It's not a monopoly. There are other storefronts like the Epic Game Store. Even though they're giving away free games every week, it's still failing because it's not what the gamers want. Gamers would just log in, get the free game, and then log out again and go back to Steam.
Media and how media feel. The moment that you start making decisions for a group of people that's not your core customer and your end customer is the moment that your business starts failing. Now, it might not be immediate, but it is inevitable.
Sincere or bigoted, where does it stop? Does a review complaining about woke characters get deleted? What about a review complaining about bad optimization that the dev claims is fixed? What about a review that
like Monster Hunter Wilds
calls a dev lazy? The moment Valve begins verifying accuracy, every developer on the platform will flood them with tickets demanding the removal of every negative review that isn't 100% technical.
Exactly. And it will waste everybody's time.
We would see the death of the mixed rating. Every game would just be
not protecting vulnerable groups and they're protecting customers. Well, that's a false premise. There are no vulnerable groups. If you're too vulnerable that you can't read a Steam review and you're going to have to end up killing yourself, then you need to get off the internet and you need to be committed to a mental institution immediately. Immediately, you need to be committed to a mental institution. Like I'm not gonna turn the world into a padded room just because some people won't go in one. No. Deal with it, pussy.
Overwhelmingly positive because any negative review would just get deleted. The report quotes developer Fee saying to us, it seems that in Steam's view, hateful comments about an individual is abuse, but targeting it towards a group of people is totally fine. And while that sounds harsh, it reveals the core of the friction. Steam treats groups as topics. If you make a game about a specific political identity, the community is going to discuss that identity. You cannot invite the world
it's part of the game
to look at your art and then demand they only speak about it in ways you find safe. But for
exactly, I love this guy.
the consumer, Steam is a marketplace of ideas. When you see a game with mostly negative reviews, it's just a large warning. Sometimes that warning is about bugs, sometimes it's about a developer's behavior, and sometimes it's about the woke content the developer is pushing. The point is, the customer gets to decide what information is relevant to them. So the Guardian article concludes with Lawhead saying...
And you can easily look at a review, like for example, Monster Hunter Wilds is a great example of this. So if you, I have a great computer. I do, I have an amazing computer. And because of that, I never had to deal with any of the issues that Monster Hunter Wilds had with performance, because my 5090 could run it anyway. But other people did. So whenever I saw the negative reviews, I just saw them and I was like, ah, shit, okay, well, I guess this is just because performance. I guess the game will be okay for me, right? So, if you just look at a number, isn't that also the user error? Did you finish Kazan? I never did, actually.
This shouldn't be normal, but for millions of people who use...
Okay, so I'm going to recast because I'm not catching anything.
unfiltered
itself. I
and
don't know
sometimes ugly truth of the community's opinion. Steam's refusal to moderate accuracy isn't a failure of the system. It's
the
actually a
system working
feature
as
that
intended.
keeps the system honest.
Exactly.
So Valve has made its choice. They are choosing the chaos of the public square over the safety of the gated community.
There's no safety of the gated community, because the safety of the developers is the danger of the user. Like, basically, you're sparing a developer's feelings, so potentially millions of people could make a bad purchasing decision and be out $30. And now you have to deal with
These woke game developers just want to scam
this is
gamers.
it's another
They want to sell crap
inversion. So you're trying
and they want gamers to buy their crap.
is more
That is what these woke game developers want
he
to
reset.
happen.
I forgot what happened to him. Now he's back. So anyway, your feelings as a developer are more important than the money of your customers. That's what it is. Show it? I don't know, it's like white or something like that. Who gives a fuck?
As long as they do, Steam will remain the only place where the users, not the corporations, have the final word.
That's
but
right.
overall, what do you think?
Oops, sorry about that. I mean, that's basically the end of the video, to be fair. But like,
Is Valve justified in protecting mean reviews to avoid censorship?
they absolutely
30 years
are,
ago,
by the
Kirk
way. They 100% are. It's
group
not
of
even
developers-
a question. Like, Steam is one of the only companies that's actually consumer first. Because fundamentally what these other people want is not consumer first. They don't care about the consumer. They don't want to help the consumer. They want to patronize, demonize, and negatively treat the consumer as some sort of adversary that must be overcome. Like, how can we overcome the consumer? How can we find a way to make this, you know, like this stupid consumer believe what we think that they should think? And that's it. Fuck that, man. Yeah, they hate the consumer. They do. They hate the consumer. They patronize the consumer, and they ultimately resent, and they, I think they hold the consumer in contempt. And the thing is that also they want to, this is one thing that's really important, is that there is a false premise, again, that we are the ones pushing the culture war. That's not true. They want to push their culture war, and they don't want anybody else to respond. They want to be the only people that have, you know, any ability to speak out about this. Like, whenever they say culture war, they're already winning the culture war.
So if you are thinking of playing Fishing Planet,
Gap in the armor,
just
crack in the dam. Now it's a big problem because it shows the flaws.
just
Yeah, they are the ones.
just to let you know,
These are
you'll be spending a lot of time just waiting.
media, and
So if you don't have any patience,
their message about trans
you might not enjoy this game.
or black people or whatever. And these are even messages that in a lot of cases I agree with. I just don't want to hear them when I'm playing.
Because this is a fishing simulation, and
Like, I don't want to hear about feudal. I don't want to hear about
in real life,
you know, how hard it is to be
even in real life, you'll be spending
about being
a lot of time just
samurai for Oda.
waiting for a
I don't
catch.
want to hear that. It's not part of the fucking story. Shut the fuck up. So that's how I see it. And totally agree on that. Absolutely, I do. And they're even going to do that. The thing is, too, they'll do this with pricing. They'll do it with performance. They'll do anything that they can. There's the video. Make sure to get this. Like, Water CS2 makes a lot of videos. He, you know, obviously a huge fan of Valve, and I am too. I totally support him. I support Valve. I think they're totally making the right decisions. And these shitty fucking companies, this UK rag that's sitting around trying to make bullshit, this shouldn't be normal. Why don't you shut the fuck up? Maybe you shouldn't be making video games like this. How about that? And also, like, who decides what's normal? Oh, I wonder, the thing that most people think in the entire world shouldn't be what's normal? Too bad. I don't think dogs should die. But they do, because that's the world. Get used to it, bitch. That's too bad. You don't want to hear that? They're so untalented they can't tell a good struggle or women minority story? Well, I think that you're right about that. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of good stories. Like, for example, if a studio like Rockstar was making like what they were making that Assassin's Creed game that was like a post like abolition.
Okay, so now I'm using 2 fishing rods.
1880s.
I could probably,
KKK members,
put another one.
other types of racists trying to survive and help other black people. I think that'd be fucking goated. It would be amazing. But the truth is that a company like Ubisoft, they don't have the narrative, and they don't have the maturity to tell a story like that in a way that is respectful, clever, and not patronizing. They just don't have the skill. Django Unchained would be a really good example of it being possible. Yeah, I love Django Unchained. I'd probably watch that movie 20 times. Like I've probably watched it 20 times. I've watched Inglourious Basterds probably 50 times. So it's not that you can't do it, because yeah, again, Django Unchained proved this isn't true. It's just that this company can't fucking do it. And that's it.
Okay, so that was Asmongold. What is this? I'm done with Nintendo. Corporations are co-opting in the game. Riot Games was supposed to buy Ashes of Creation. Really? Japan's anti-immigration policy is not what you think. Discord now assumes you're a liar. Oh, okay, stop killing games. Let's go listen to Ross of Stop Killing Games.
Hello! I have not had many updates on the Stop Killing Games campaign in a while, but this is not for
I just watched Josh Schreif-Hayes talk about Stop Killing Games being presented in the EU Parliament, and I believe, if I remember correctly, he'll be part of the Stop Killing Games delegation. Anyway, let's listen to Ross.
And it's become much less about getting internet attention and far more about political maneuvering and attention of regulators, that sort of thing. I've been sitting on lots of information because that's what they advise, and now I'm being advised to tell everyone what's happening, or most of it. So on that note, I have lots of updates. Some of it is maybe bad news, but most of it is good news. In fact, let me start off by saying I think we're gonna win this. Namely, the problem of publishers destroying video games that you've already paid for. Now, what I can't say is when or which method will happen first. We have so many avenues in play, and the more I learn, the more I see this could become a quite convoluted path. But the reason I have so much faith in us getting a win is that the law is on our side on this. We could lose 5 paths we're pursuing and still get a win. Let's start with the maybe bad news first. The meeting with the EU Commission is coming up very soon, and we actually have no idea what to expect. Now, what I'm hoping happens is once we've explained what's going on in the games industry and how the practice of game destruction is largely violating EU law, the Commission will realize there's a problem and bring a proposal to EU Parliament, or at the very least clarify existing law on the issue. However, we've had some events that could suggest that won't be what will happen. One of the biggest is this will actually not be our first meeting with the Commission. Back in October, members of the initiative were invited to discuss the possibility of getting our issue added to the Digital Fairness Act. Now, I wasn't there, so I'm getting this secondhand, but from what I've been told, it wasn't great. I'm told it felt like the Commission had been prompted with lines from the industry. They apparently kept emphasizing how video games are a living, breathing thing because of constant updates. Oh, yeah, that totally doesn't sound like an expression the industry came up with. Though I admit, that description pairs well with the Stop Killing Games movement. I'm pleased with how the organizers responded to this, explaining that your phone receives lots of updates also, but if software support ends, you still get to keep your phone. They were also concerned about this. Sexton made the game unturned at 16 years old. It's intended primarily for online play and receives frequent updates. There are many who would define that as a live service game. Oh, but what's this? It already had private server support? So he was never part of the problem in the first place. So this exact and very rare scenario that the Commission is concerned about has already happened. And if our initiative had existed,
Again, guys, there are already a lot of games,
it would have still been,
online games,
and it wasn't
that have
It's had 20
offline modes.
So
It's not a new thing,
to figure out how to do this.
and I'm pretty sure it's not a hard thing to implement as well, since a lot of games already have it.
It's impossible.
Nelson Sexton.
Was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Though a developer does not have to be Iron Man to not destroy their game. On the contrary, the vast majority of them don't do this. A publisher has to go out of their way and do lots of extra work to design a game to stop working when support ends. It's a very deliberate decision. Also in the meeting was our old favorite talking point. The Commission was concerned that we were asking for endless support from publishers. It was explained, no, we're not. Publishers can end support anytime they want. We're asking that they don't also destroy what they've already sold to the customer when they do so. I don't blame the Commission for needing clarity on that point. The industry keeps trying to push this mischaracterization of us over and over and over. Anyway, there were mixed opinions on the meeting, but I'm told the overall vibe was that it felt like the Commission was trying to find reasons to not include our initiative, which is unfortunate, since I'm told by EU staff that we set a record in the number of comments received by the public on a pending EU act for trying to be included in the Digital Fairness Act. Additionally, if you look at the purpose of the Digital Fairness Act, look at what it says it's trying. According to the European Commission, the effectiveness of EU consumer protection is undermined by insufficient enforcement, legal uncertainty, increasing risk of regulatory fragmentation across member states' national approaches, and the lack of incentives for
I
business.
have like 2 fishing rods and I'm not getting a bite in any of them.
Problems with how the law is currently functioning in regards to publishers destroying games. And part of the act is even focused on video games. So yeah, I'm missing how our issue is a poor fit for the Digital Fairness Act. But it wasn't just that. The meeting kind of bled over into the Citizens Initiative also. But the real closer came at the end, where the Commission told us point blank they are pursuing a deregulatory agenda. And yes, the initiative is asking for regulation. So if the Commission has already decided it wants to deregulate, I could see where that might be a problem. Now, ironically, after the meeting was over, I'm told some legal experts involved came up to the organizers and said to please pursue this issue because it's worthwhile, and it is a fight that needs to be fought. See, stuff like this is exactly why I have no idea which way the Commission is going to go on this. More on that point, this next part gets weird. On July 10th of last year, back when we were still collecting signatures for the initiative, the EU Commission released a statement titled Ready Player EU. It then took it down the next day, so fast there wasn't even time for Wayback Machine to archive it. I never even got a chance to read this article. However, a reporter for news outlet Euractiv did, and you can see the headline for yourself. Commission preparing token gesture for angry gamers and game developers. The EU Commission is preparing a non-binding communication on the video game sector, likely in response to an ongoing citizens initiative calling for rules to stop killing games. What's more, in the article it says a spokesperson blamed a technical glitch, but said full publication is planned for 2026. Huh. I'm honestly not sure what to make of this, and the political insiders helping us aren't either. Or rather, they're divided. Some say that the Euractiv article misread it, and this means nothing. Others are saying, no, that article is reading between the lines, and the EU Commission has already decided to make a non-binding statement on this issue, probably encouraging the industry to self-regulate. Well, I feel like this goes without saying, but in case it doesn't, self-regulation from the industry is not a good solution, for 2 big reasons. Probably more, but I can think of 2. First, the practice of publishers deliberately destroying games with no expiration date that customers have already paid for has been going on for at least 13 years. Battleforge is a notable example of one of the earlier ones from 2013. So the industry has already had over a decade to self-regulate. And that's led to the situation becoming so bad, that's what led to over 1 million people petitioning the EU Commission about it. And they're still going. Hell, at the time of this video, Anthem got permanently disabled by Electronic Arts just last month. It sold 5 million copies and now no one can run it again. And people are not getting refunds. This is what industry self-regulation looks like. We're living it. So we've already tried it this way for over a decade and it's getting worse. That's why we want law enforcement. Believe me, I was hoping the industry would solve this themselves. I don't want to be doing this. Second, the industry has built a history showing it's terrible at regulating itself on this issue. I refer back to my earlier video where volunteers did a study examining as many games as they could find requiring a connection to the publisher. Well, we've since updated those results on a wiki anyone can check out. Out of over 600 games with this design that the industry has ended support on, the publisher let the customer keep their purchase about 4 to 6% of the time, depending on how you measure it, due to some games only being partially destroyed. But let's take the most generous interpretation and say it's 6.5%. That's terrible under any standard. If you scored 6.5% on a test, that would be a failure. Self-regulation is not working. So I don't know what to make of this leak by the EU Commission. But if that Euractiv article is true, then I admit that caught us off guard. Because that means the decision was already made before we even got a chance to present our evidence. We were still collecting signatures. I mean, if you look at the European Citizens Initiative process, that's like taking the absolute final step of the process and moving it up to step 3 here. Well, if that's what's happened and the decision's already been made, wouldn't that make the other steps pointless? It kind of reminds me of an old Onion video about the election results.
Why am I not catching any fish?
Oops. Now, just to be clear,
Oh my
I'm not
goodness.
saying that's what happened. I don't know. I'm saying having this leak during the height of our signature gathering was weird, and that Euractiv article only increased our concerns about whatever the EU Commission has planned. Now, I'm hoping this is all just us worrying about nothing, but I've seen this issue get ignored again and again, long before so I'm kind of biased to expect the worst here. I'm just showing everyone why we have concerns the meeting might not go well. So that's the maybe bad news. There's a lot of good news. Because we don't know what kind of answer we're going to get from the Commission, we're trying not to take any chances. Thanks to volunteer help, we've been making serious inroads in EU Parliament, and at this stage, I've been told we have majority support, and our issue will be brought before Parliament, and it's in a good position to get passed. Now, EU policymaking is quite complex, so there are more steps beyond that, but that's good news. Next, the movement as a whole will be launching an official NGO on the issue of game destruction. Now, if you're like me, you may have some skepticism on how much this can do, but there are definite advantages. The first is this will allow us to do long-term counter-lobbying on this issue. I mean, we're hoping to get the Citizens Initiative passed, or added to the Digital Fairness Act. But if those fail, there's still the possibility of being added to the Digital Content Directive revision. We're trying to find a way in any way we can. This will also signal that we're not just going away on this issue. I mean, I might. I've been at this for over a decade, but the movement isn't. If there's a lobbyist showing up again and again at the EU Commission, that might influence things. This will also allow for more watchdog action. Like if you recall, I helped organize a multilingual site with easy-to-follow instructions for reporting on the crew to consumer protection agencies. Well, maybe the NGO could set something like that up for every big shutdown where the game is destroyed in the future. There are lots of smaller angles too that can increase the pressure. Like I would bet it starts to get a lot easier to get refunds on games that get destroyed in many countries, even before all the legal matters are settled. Now there's a lot of people involved now, so I'm not trying to dismiss anyone, but you can thank Moritz Katzner and his team for spearheading the NGO and helping us with so much influence in Parliament. Since we got the signatures, in my opinion, he's been doing as much for the movement in the political sphere as I did on the issue on everything prior to that. And I would
Okay, why am I not getting a bite?
sleep. I've told him he should sleep, but whatever. Edgar Allan Poe didn't like sleep either. So we're going to have a European NGO. They'll have more details later. But wait, there's more. Did I say NGO? I meant NGOs. There's a second one launching also. Yes, there is going to be a second Stop Killing Games NGO, except in the United States. Political activists in the US were inspired by what we're doing and have secured some real funding. And because he's such a workhorse, Moritz is helping them by getting the process started to pass legislation in multiple states. He's even flown out to DC to get the ball rolling. It's underway. He's setting it up so that the US members will take over. I admit, I did not see that coming. That we're having law drafted on this in the USA before the EU. Now, before people get too excited, I've never hidden the fact that I'm very skeptical of our odds of changing this in the US. Because unlike the EU, the legal foundation isn't there. So the only way to fix this is through new law. But I would love to have my cynicism proven wrong. At the very least, it won't hurt anything and can raise more attention on solving the problem either there or elsewhere. Actually, what I kind of hope this does is maybe give the industry some pause. Like, should we be spending millions on fighting this issue when we could be spending thousands, if that, just fixing the problem so our customers stop lobbying against us? Like, I get why the industry fights so hard against regulating predatory monetization. If the video game industry can't push microtransactions on kids and gambling addicts easily, that could literally cost them billions. So while I'm not a fan of that, I at least understand why they spend a lot fighting that. But our issue, having bare bones end-of-life plans, that's peanuts. They are absolutely spending more money on lobbyists to fight this than it would take to fix their development process, and then the cost would be almost nothing afterwards. And as a bonus, then their customers would like
So for an hour of fishing, I just caught one fish.
I also plan to make this a global I don't have any details yet, but
Why?
follow up on our consumer action in Australia. Or maybe they could get lawsuits back on the table in Brazil like we attempted earlier. I don't even know everything they have planned, but it feels like this is coming together to apply pressure on this from all sides. But back to the EU. I said earlier I think we're going to win this. That's because there are two basic ways we can win. The first and the best option is introducing new law that specifically addresses the problem, like we've been doing. Doing it this way can make the transition as easy as possible, take industry concerns into account, and it's faster. But let's say we lose on all fronts on that. Say the EU Commission doesn't want new regulation, getting support in Parliament isn't enough, we can't push the Citizens Initiative forward, we can't get in the Digital Fairness Act, and we can't make it into the Digital Content Directive. If all that happens, the new law is out, which means our only option left is enforcement of existing law. See, the thing that gets forgotten when talking about the initiative is that it's very likely large portions of the video game industry have already been breaking the law when destroying customer copies of video games for a long time. There's just been no enforcement on it. My theory on what happened is in the United States, the law that allows companies to do this was basically settled back in the 90s. So what I think happened is the rest of the industry kind of copied what the USA was doing, even though in the European Union, the laws that were supposed to protect customers against practices like this never actually went. I've mentioned before how earlier we got help from members of parliament to ask the EU Commission questions on how exactly these types of games are governed. And we referred specifically to terms like can be terminated at any time for any reason in user license agreements. Well, the Commission itself said that these may be a violation, but need to be handled on a case-by-case basis. Well, if they stick to that, that's unfortunate, because that's going to create more chaos for everyone, really. First, this clause here is not a few isolated cases. I want to say 98% of all games sold that require a connection to the publisher have a clause like this. It might even be 100%, I don't know, but it's almost all of them. Look at any major game where you need to connect to the publisher and it's going to have some variant of this term. So handling this case by case, country by country, is going to flood the courts doing it this way, with different penalties and interpretations for each. But I guess that's something the NGO could help with. The situation on this issue is already in chaos now. This would just send it all into overdrive. At this point in time, no country in the EU has a clear answer on how to handle the situation of a publisher selling you a game, giving you no time frame for how long it lasts, then deliberately disabling it at a later date. Do you know how I know this? Because we already tried to find out. Back in 2024, we had people from countries all around the EU reporting to consumer agencies on the company Ubisoft disabling the game The Crew. Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, Spain, Italy, Croatia, we had volunteers in the majority of EU countries trying to get an answer on this. Now the EU recommends doing this through the European Consumer Centers Network. So that's what we did. Or we tried to. The results were chaos. Most agencies had no idea what we should do. A representative from Germany even said that there is no clear legal regulation on this. In several cases, we had contradictory answers from the same country. So if you called in the morning, they might tell you you were entitled to a refund. If you called in the afternoon, they might say that there's nothing they can do. You would have more consistency asking a magic 8-ball. Now we eventually managed to bypass the ECC network since that went nowhere, and got thousands of complaints sent to consumer protection agencies in France and Germany. But that was almost 2 years ago. And they're similar to the Right to Repair Directive, talking about a reasonable price or a reasonable time. We want games to be reasonably playable. Now that has some interpretation, but deliberately disabling every customer copy of a game is not reasonably playable. But what that phrase means is we're leaving maximum flexibility to the industry for how they achieve this, and are open to any solution that solves the problem. But we do want to solve the problem. We are sticklers for that part. Now, I've been asked to point out in the statement lobby group Video Games Europe made on us, they said they're looking forward to discuss their position with policymakers, which they no doubt have, and those who have led the European Citizens Initiative in the coming months. Well, that was 7 months ago, and we still have not heard one word from them. They're welcome to contact us, and in fact, the movement is preparing meetings in the future to make it even easier. They're invited for public discussions. Anyway, that's the news for the EU. Elsewhere, I didn't really cover it at the time, but our government petition in the UK did get brought before Parliament, and it was declined. But that wasn't a huge surprise. The UK was always more of a long shot. It simply doesn't have the same consumer protection laws that the EU does. That said, there actually may be another angle to get protections in the UK later on that I'm not at liberty to talk about yet, but that one's really iffy, even more of a long shot, so don't count on that. For our intents and purposes, the UK is probably cooked. Probably. Outside of Europe, in 2024, we submitted complaints to the ACCC on The Crew in Australia, and a law firm stated that it had been escalated internally there, and they are still making their decision, like Germany and France. So there's just more waiting to do there. And ironically, it blows my mind that the USA is currently in the lead for things happening first on this issue. But I...
Ah, look at that. We caught a grass pickerel. Okay.
While I hope we have a favorable answer from the
Okay, I'm going to keep this one.
solving the problem, don't be discouraged if there's nothing to celebrate from the meeting. We're working around it just in case. We are coming at this issue so hard. When you consider the NGOs, the consumer agencies, possible court action, the initiative, working with Parliament, legal studies, hell, even the US bills. But most of all, EU law is already on our side on this. We're gonna find a way to make this work. Your guess is as good as mine which one, and there's actually even a couple more things going on I can't talk about yet. That could be a path to victory also. Now, as much as I don't like how this campaign keeps derailing my life, I'm really happy we're getting lots of competent help now that can hopefully take this over entirely at some point. At the beginning of the campaign, I said this is all an amateur effort. That's becoming less and less true now. We're getting more and more of the help we need. All right, that's it. We'll see how things go with the commission.
Okay, so in an hour I caught 2 fish. Yeah. That's fishing for you. Again, this is a fishing simulator, so it's not a fishing arcade game. So if this was a fishing arcade game, then you'll be seeing a lot more fish getting caught, because an arcade game is very different from a simulation game. This one is a simulation. It tries its best to simulate what actual fishing is. And actual fishing means spending a lot of time just looking at the water. Anyway guys, time over. That's it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.